The Miami Heat are 2-1 after the first 3 games, but I do not want to rest on our laurels here because although they are 2-1, there are some changes that need to be made already this early on in the season, and with a tougher part of the schedule coming up, I think now is a good time to try to make those changes, and that's what we're going to talk about on today's show. This is the Heat Report by Chat Sports. I am Nic Rohloff, and listen, it's nice to be 2-1. I'm not going to complain about being 2-1. But when you think of the first 3 games, it's hard not to at least be a little cautious with the optimism that thinking this is going to be something that Miami does constantly throughout the year because they've played 2 of the worst teams in basketball. Those are their 2 wins in Charlotte on Saturday and at home yesterday against the Pistons. The only team that they played that is projected to have a winning record this season, they got absolutely obliterated at home. So yes, it's nice to be 2-1, but I don't think it's something that Heat fans, including myself, could come up here and just be like, oh my God, we're 2-1, we're going to be good this year. Because there's a lot left to be desired, if you will. And when you look at the advanced numbers through the first 3 games, it's not pretty. An offensive rating of 18, so there's still a bottom half offense in the basketball league. But we always knew this was going to happen. And yes, they're playing the Hornets and Pistons, but through 3 games, they're the 10th best defensive team in the league. That was always anticipated. We always knew they were going to be a top half defensive team. I know there's a lot of questions about Jovic, Rozier, Hero, Duncan Robinson as defenders on the squad, but when you have Spoelstra, Jimmy, Bam, you're always going to be in the top half on the defensive side. They're an average team in terms of their net rating through 3 games, but these are the more concerning numbers if you're asking me. 20th in effective field goal percentage and 29th in pace. They're the second slowest team in the association through the first 3 games. All right, more to talk about here in just a second, but make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Daily Miami Heat content, whether it be a video, a short, a live show, with it being a watch party. We were live yesterday for Pistons Heat. We're going to be live tomorrow for Heat Knicks. That will be a fun one and a test for the squad. Join the channel today. We're under 500 away from 15K. Let's do it. The Heat need to do a lot of changes offensively, if we're going to be honest. And some may just say it's more about hitting your 3-point shots, because the Heat offense yesterday against Detroit was actually pretty good. They scored 28 points in the first quarter, 36 in the second quarter, and 28 in the fourth quarter. Those will play, but you can't have the quarters that you had in the third quarter where you only score 14, because you went from up 11 at halftime to down 4 entering the fourth quarter. You got outscored 28, is that math right? No, 29-14, I think that's right. It was just not good, and there's some changes offensively that need to be made, and we're going to talk about some changes in the back half of the video today. But the first change that I wanted to talk about that has nothing to do with the offense is benching Thomas Bryant. I am sick of it. I can't handle it. I do not want to talk about the offense before we talk about Thomas Bryant, because we need to get him out of here. And even though the offensive numbers might be kind to Thomas Bryant in terms of shooting percentage, the issue with Bryant is the number in that second box from the left, rebounds per game. Because as a center, 2 rebounds a game in 13.7 minutes per game is not acceptable. And the fact that he only has 6 rebounds in the first 3 games of the season is an absolute joke, considering he gives up about 6 rebounds a game to opposing backup centers. And we'll talk about what Isaiah Stewart did to him last night in just a second. But another frustrating part about Bryant, and even though he's 40% from 3 and he's 2 of 5 on the year from beyond the arc, I don't know what Thomas Bryant does in practice to warrant the green light from 3 that he has. Like, is it Erik Spoelstra? Does Spoelstra not get upset when he watches Thomas Bryant take 3-point shots? I mean, there was a point in yesterday's game where Thomas Bryant took a step back right wing 3. What are we doing? That should never, and I mean never, be a shot taken in a basketball game from Thomas Bryant. If it's under 5 seconds to go on the shot clock, a player drives inside, draws 2, kicks it out, and Thomas Bryant is left wide open alone at the top of the key for 3, sure, I guess can accept a Thomas Bryant triple because he can make them in stretches. But a step back? Come on, folks. That should never happen. And for what, like, Thomas Bryant shot 4 threes last night. 4! Are we serious? Why is he taking 4 threes in a game? Should never happen again. But let's digress from the three-point shooting and talk about the rebounding, because that's the main issue here. That's why he needs to be benched, because the offensive numbers are fine for a backup center. I'm not going to complain in 13 minutes for 5.7 points per game on someone shooting 60% and 40%. If Thomas Bryant wasn't a negative defender and was not averaging only 2 rebounds per game, maybe he was averaging 4.5, 5 rebounds a game, I could stomach Thomas Bryant in the limited minutes while we wait for Kevin Love to get back. But the 2 rebounds a game is flat out unacceptable. And when you look at the rebounding numbers for Miami through the first 3 games, they are disgraceful. This is something that cannot happen. The Miami Heat have been out-rebounded as a team in all 3 games they have played. This is an unsustainable number. Getting out-rebounded by Orlando by 16, 3 by Charlotte, 10 by Detroit. Now, the Pistons are a good rebounding team, and so is Orlando. But that does not warrant you getting out-rebounded by them by 10. And although you are 2-1, you will not consistently win basketball games if you are getting out-rebounded by 10 or more boards a game. That cannot happen. But now I'm going to direct your attention to the right side of your screen, because these are the backup centers that have tortured Thomas Bryant to this point in the season. Now, Moussa Diabate is the one exception, only having 2 rebounds in that game against Miami on Saturday, although only playing 9 minutes. And, well, let's be honest here, folks. Diabate is not really an NBA caliber center whatsoever. But Mo Wagner having 6 rebounds against, Thomas Bryant. Isaiah Stewart, 15 rebounds off the bench yesterday. Now, not all of them are coming on Thomas Bryant, but that kind of just illustrates the picture that Stewart, who is one of the best rebounders and energy guys in the NBA, was dominating Thomas Bryant on a daily and second basis yesterday in that game. And when you're getting out-rebounded every game, that just can't happen. And it's not all on Thomas Bryant. I want to make that abundantly clear that I'm not blaming every single issue Miami has on the glass on Thomas Bryant. He is a large contributor to it because he's getting out-rebounded by Mo Wagner and Isaiah Stewart by pretty significant numbers, but it's just something that the team needs to do better on as well. And it's not all on Thomas Bryant, but he constantly gets outworked, tossed around inside, and it's just not pleasant to watch the Heat give up so many offensive rebounds to backup centers because Thomas Bryant can't do his job. Solution coming up in just a second. But we are sponsored by DraftKings, the #1 sportsbook and casino, and I am so happy that DraftKings is sponsoring this channel and show with the NBA being back. The NBA is finally back. A new season means new ways to get into the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. Who's draining threes from beyond the arc? Who's crashing the boards and grabbing rebounds? Get behind your favorite players and the prop bets you can make on DraftKings, the home of NBA player props. First time, new DraftKings customers bet $5, get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Every point counts with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code HEATCHAT. That's code HEATCHAT for new customers. Get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in New Hampshire, Oregon, and Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gambling resources, see dkng.co/bball. And you can play any way you want at DraftKings, whether it's straight bets, parlays, NBA player props. And I have some plays today since the Heat aren't playing. We do bet on the Heat almost every single game. I think the Timberwolves beat the Mavericks. I think they're going to come out hot at home. Mavericks on a back-to-back. I'll take them money line, -192, which means I also am going to go with Anthony Edwards to have a big game, -125, 33-plus points and rebounds. And then I'll also round out my plays for the day with Draymond Green under 8.5 points. Not much of a score, but make sure you download DraftKings and use code HEATCHAT when you sign up to get $200 in bonus bets when you bet $5. Shout out to DraftKings for sponsoring the Heat Report. All right, my question is with Erik Spoelstra is, why are we not trying out rookie Kel'el Ware? You drafted him 15th overall. You used your first-round selection to get Kel'el Ware with the idea of him backing up Bam Adebayo in the short term with potentially being the long-term starting front court partner of Bam Adebayo. And I get it. he's thin. He does not have the muscle that might be required to bang inside with some of these other NBA centers. And we even see Victor Wembanyama struggle with that. I saw a clip yesterday, and I've used this example in the past, that even though Wemby is this demigod 7'4" guy with some unbelievable wingspan, he got babied inside a couple times going up against the Rockets in Steven Adams because size, well, and strength might at least overpower the length of Victor Wembanyama. And that might happen to Kel'el Ware early, but he's doing something and would bring something that Thomas Bryant doesn't bring, and that's length. Ware is 7 feet tall, 7'4.5" wingspan. And sure, he does need to add muscle, but you got to get him out there and give him reps, trial by fire. That's the only way that he's going to know what he needs to do and how he needs to realize that he needs to bulk up. And Thomas Bryant's giving you such nothing on the rebounding glass. Like, why would you not try out Kel'el Ware? Is he that bad in practice? Well, I want to share this tweet, and I know some people might laugh because he does troll at times on Twitter, but Austin does have some connections to the Heat team. He's hung out with Tyler Hero. He's talked to Haywood Highsmith. He goes to Bam Adebayo and helps his charity events all the time. And he does have some connections on this Heat team. And he calls it groupie sources. And he says that he's heard from, I guess, some of the players that Kel'el Ware has been playing extremely well in practice. And I agree with him. We can't find 10 minutes, 11 minutes a game to play him to back up Bam Adebayo instead of Thomas Bryant. Like, I get it. Maybe Bryant's just filling in for Kevin Love, who is yet to make his season debut due to personal reasons. Hope everything's good with K-Love. But, man, I would like to see the rookie out there because even if he struggles and shows a little bit of a growing process that will be needed, he cannot be worse than Thomas Bryant in the glass. Like, I almost guarantee that if Kel'el Ware was playing for Miami, he would be averaging more than 2 rebounds per game and not giving up as many offensive rebounds as Bryant and this Heat team has had when they're on the second unit. Do you agree with me? Do the Miami Heat need to bench Thomas Bryant? I suppose he already is on the bench, but do he need to get benched to the third line? Let me know. Be Erik Spoelstra for me. Type Y for yes, type N for no. All right, let's shift back to the Miami Heat offense and what needs to be adjusted since they are already bottom half in the NBA and everything. And I want to revisit those numbers before we get into what the main issue is, in my opinion. Offensive rating is 18th, not the greatest. Effective field goal percentage, 20th. They also rank in the bottom half in three-point shooting to this point. I believe the number is 34.5% from three. And the 29th in pace. That is the issue. They are the second slowest team in the NBA. I can't deal with it anymore. Fun fact, you know what they were last year in pace for the entire 23-24 season? Yes, the second slowest. The only team that they are ahead of in terms of pace per game is the New York Knicks, who you play on Wednesday. So if you're a betting man, shout out to DraftKings. Probably would take the under in that game because you're talking about two of the slowest moving teams in the NBA. But the issue that I have with this and the confusion is that the Heat in training camp said they were trying to work faster. They were trying to get out in transition, move quicker, generate more possessions for them because they knew that they are maybe a little bit offensively challenged compared to other teams and they needed to give themselves more opportunities. Well, in the preseason, they were the number one team in pace. They averaged 104.2 possessions if you played per 48 minutes. And guess what, folks? That would have ranked number one in the NBA last season. I am not asking for the Heat to get and become the number one team in terms of pace. That is not feasible with a couple of older players on the roster, specifically Jimmy Butler. But can we not be second to last again? Not asking for one, just give me 14th, 15th in pace. Generate more looks. If you are a struggling offensive team, which Miami has been over the past 2 or 3 seasons, and really the only time they've been in a good above-average offensive team is the first year with Kyle Lowry and the 1 year with P.J. Tucker when they were the first seed in the entire Eastern Conference. They were a top 5 offensive team. They were a top 5 defensive team, top half offensive team. You get that. That is how you are a good team in the regular season. The offense is just lacking. It's because they're not giving themselves enough opportunities on a nightly basis. And that can be fixed by playing faster and increasing your pace. Now, getting steals and getting out in transition will help that, which is how Miami was able to have a really strong fourth quarter yesterday. But it needs to happen through 4 quarters, not just one. All right, that's going to do it for today's show. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel because we're dropping daily content here and live for almost every Heat game. Like I said, live tomorrow for Heat Knicks. It's a big game. It's a real litmus test for Miami. 2-1, 2 wins against bad teams, 1 blowout loss at home against a good team. How are they going to fare against a projected good team this year in New York, who is 1-2 through their first 3 games? We'll find out tomorrow. Make sure you subscribe and join us.